If you master this one skill, you'll connect with girls in a way that you never thought was possible, but without it, you'll struggle to maintain even a basic conversation. Before I developed this skill, I struggled to maintain a relationship for even just a month. There was a girl that I dated in high school when I was 17. We hung out and we started dating for maybe like a month at most. And the initial attraction phase was fun, as it always is, but really quickly I got really insensitive and cold and was not forming any more of a deeper connection, and this caused us to break up very quickly. I lacked so much empathy in the relationship to want to connect with her, to care about how she was feeling, and this caused her to break up with me, but I really didn't care back then. My friends were always saying, "Seb, you have no feelings," and it was kind of true. And that was one of the reasons that I struggled to form and really maintain this relationship for even more than just a month. And the crucial skill is empathy. There's 4 components to it that will make you highly empathetic and able to connect with people insanely quickly. Before I get into those 4 things, let me tell you what will happen if you develop this skill. In my next relationship, about 2 years later, I connected with the girl so quickly. From the day I met her, we already got along really well, and this grew day after day that we hung out. We just kept getting deeper and deeper, and this led us to be able to date very quickly. And within the first month, it felt like I had known her for years, and we were just so connected on so many levels. It was so much more than just hanging out or just having sex. We felt like we were really connected. And this was an amazing feeling, especially being someone, like I said, who didn't really have great levels of emotional intelligence or empathy beforehand. So when we really connected like this, it was an awesome thing to do, and it did so much for the relationship and actually being able to just maintain and have a great relationship as a whole. It was 100% necessary. Without it, I would never have had that relationship and taken it as far as I did. I learned the first component of empathy when I went back to Sweden for the first time as an adult at 19 years old. I hadn't been there for over a decade, and I went back and I wanted to get to know people. I wanted to date girls. And the first night that I went out to the club in this small town, I met literally everybody there that night. I was greeted by the most friendly people. They were so open arms, and it was one of the best experiences ever for me. And it was so eye-opening that people are so different around the world. See, my entire life growing up until 19, I'd lived in the same town. I had the same friend group. I pretty much only socialized with my 5 or 6 friends, and then occasionally they had an outside friend that came in and we talked to them, but they were pretty much just like everyone else. So we only were getting the viewpoints of the people within our group. We weren't really socializing with that many new people. It was pretty much just our tight-knit friend group, and that's all I kind of saw. And then when I went to Sweden for the first time, going across seas to a completely different country, I was just greeted by people who are so radically different, although they look very similar, especially me. I'm blonde hair, blue eyes. My mom is Swedish. I look exactly like them, but I had just such different life experiences compared to these people. So, the first thing that you need to learn is that you need to develop the empathetic mindset. Going into each conversation thinking that you know people will lead you to not know anyone, only just causing you to project your own values and beliefs. You need to go into each conversation realizing that each person is a blank slate, coming to this person with absolute curiosity, trying to get to know them for who they really are, learning their values and their beliefs. Otherwise, you will not ever develop the empathy necessary to connect with people on the highest level. You can imagine going into each conversation like a person is an undiscovered country. Each country has their own unique features. Some have big mountains, some have lots of rivers and lakes, others have amazing beaches, but no 2 countries are exactly the same. And you're just going around traveling, trying to get to know all the different countries. This is how you can apply this to people. It's just the same exact thing. Everyone's gonna have a little bit of uniqueness, a lot of different values and beliefs. And if you go in with that curiosity, just learning, trying to get to know them, kind of like if you're just exploring a country, you don't know what this country is gonna hold. You're just gonna find out as you go, and you're coming with very, curious mindset, just really trying to learn. This is gonna cause you to have very a highly empathetic mindset. Now that you have the right mindset for empathy, this next component will make people think that you're psychic due to how well you understand them. And the best example I have for this is when I tried to get with 2 girls from the same friend group back to back. So this takes me back to Sweden during one of my most favorite cold approaches. I executed this so well. There was this girl sitting at a table with 4 other girls, and I was having some drinks with these guys at a different table, not too far away. When I came back from getting my drink, I saw this girl making eye contact with me. So instead of sitting down with my friends, I went directly over, pulled up a chair to her table, sat down and introduced myself to her, introduced myself to everyone else. And her friends let us talk for a bit, so they left, and we were just sitting there, and we connected so quickly. Everything from the body language to the things she was saying was all in alignment. Her eyes were just staring at me. We were really having great eye contact. We were smiling, laughing, talking about things. And I thought this was in the bag. I thought this was one of the best ones. Everyone has those times when they meet a girl and it is just one of those magical experiences. That was one of these times where it was just like we connected right off the bat. And so later on, we were hanging out during the night. I was sitting with some of her friends later, and she was sitting on my lap whilst we were all having a drink, hanging out. And then I see a girl come over who I was trying to get with the night before, and I was like, oh no. And she comes over, and I saw instantly, I knew this was gonna go bad because I could see it in her eyes, in her facial expression, even in her body language, and the way she started acting as soon as she joined the group. It was a telltale sign this was over. She started whispering, kind of secretly talking to her friends. She was making some eye contact, and then all of a sudden, the friend she was talking to started making eye contact. And before I knew it, I instantly just knew the gig was up. I knew that this was ruined. I think I asked her, I was like, is that your friend? She's like, oh yeah, that's my best friend. And I was like, fuck. So this just went so bad. Even though we didn't actually do anything, me and that friend, I think we might have kissed at most, I don't remember, but I was trying to get with her that night before, and it just didn't go well. And then all of a sudden now she's telling all the friends in this group about that, and it just ruined that one thing that I had going. And see, the lesson here from this story is you can have feeling empathy. It's called visceral empathy, where you feel very much in tune with other people, not just based off the things they say, but like I was explaining, kind of based off just nonverbal communication, the eye contact, the smile, the way their body is facing towards you, the way they're open and receptive or closed off. These little things make such a big difference, and you can really quickly get the feel for someone, as many times throughout that story from right off the bat when I met that girl and we had a great conversation and we connected instantly, to when the friend came around and her body language was the complete opposite, kind of like, you know, upset, disgusted, envy, whatever her emotions were. I could just feel them before she even said a word to me. We didn't actually interact at all, and I knew the gig was up, so I just ended up saying I had to go to the bathroom, and then we ended up talking later, and she was like, yeah, I can't get with you because my friend, and I was like, I knew it. I already knew that that was gonna happen. I wasn't trying to fight it, I wasn't trying to push for it, I was like, whatever, it's all right. But she was like, she really likes me, it's just the friend ruined everything. Like, it was genuinely one of those easy layups where it would have been, I would have brought her home, all the good stuff would have happened, but the friend caused everything to go bad. If she just didn't come around, everything would have been fine. But I could see and I could feel right off the bat her energy, and I could feel all the emotions that she was feeling and how she was spreading them, and it was just very clear and obvious to me. So that is the next component, is visceral, which is feeling empathy. So the lesson here is it's very hard to pick up on people's exact thoughts. You're never gonna know exactly what someone's thinking, but it's very easy to pick up on people's moods and their overall vibe. And if you can understand this, you can get into their mindset a lot easier. So instead of trying to, extract analytical information like the words and have conversations, you can very easily read people just off of feeling their moods, determined by their nonverbal communication. There's so many little things that you can use to pick up on that will allow you to get into someone's kind of current thought process and mindset at that moment based off the way they're feeling and how they're demonstrating that in their nonverbal communication. I hope that makes sense. And this is something that will take time to develop. It's not going to happen overnight, but the more conversations you have, the more in tune and intentional you are about learning nonverbal communication, this is going to give you that visceral or feeling empathy where you can quickly connect with someone's mood. And this is going to do so much for you in developing rapport and connection with people, being very socially in tune with what's going on. This third part of empathy takes things to the next level. So I'm gonna give you a non-girl example for this. Me and my friend, back when I told you I used to just hang out with my boys, I had this one really good best friend who I'd always hang out with, and we would always just smoke weed, sit under my deck, and have the best conversations. Most of the time, we would almost just know what the other person was thinking. It was almost like telepathic. And it wasn't just because we were high or whatever. We just really knew each other so well that most of the time we would be laughing at things before we even said the joke, or like we would just start to say something and know what the other person was thinking. I'm sure many of you have had these experiences with your closest friends. And the reason for this is because you have so much analytical knowledge about this person. You've had so many conversations on so many different subjects, and you've had the same conversation probably like 90 times as my friend and I did about cars, girls, all the different topics. We would talk about so many times on repeat, basically, to the point where we literally knew every single value, belief, mindset of the other person and each other, to the point where it's like we basically are that other person. You can almost be that other person in your mind. You know exactly how they think and how they feel. And this is what allows you to connect with someone on that deeper level. And how can you apply this to girls? Well, one of the things you're gonna wanna do is talk about them. You wanna really get into their mindset, their values, their beliefs by asking highly intelligent, very well formulated questions. This is gonna allow you to learn about someone very quickly, understanding more so that you can position yourself in the best way. Of course, picking up on the visceral, the mood, and the overall feeling is important, and that's gonna do a lot for you. But once you can be analytical in someone's mind, having understood their values, their beliefs, their childhood, their current situation with family, all these little things, it's gonna allow you to piece together the puzzle so much more and connect with people on a level that it wasn't able to happen without it. It's one of the most essential things. You can only get so far with just the feeling empathy. You really need the analytical to have that very solidified connection. And this is gonna come from just basic conversation. When I talk to girls, I'm just talking about them for the most part. They usually reciprocate the questions back, so they'll ask me, the same thing that I asked them. And then we just continue the conversation. I'm really just trying to get to know them and their personal lives a bit in depth, but as quickly and as appropriately as possible. You don't jump into like the deepest questions. You start slow and you build up, and if it keeps going well, you can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And that's how you'll really get to know someone and connect with them on a really, really deep level. And now, if you don't apply any of this and work to improve, you will never see the results you want and the things that I've demonstrated in these different stories. You need to go out there and apply everything I taught you. Let me tell you how I first applied it. So in that second relationship story where I connected really well with the girl, that relationship ended badly. I got broken up with and was truly heartbroken for the first time in my life. I went into a really crazy self-improvement phase that absolutely transformed me into a completely different person. I've told this story many times, but for those of you who don't know, I did so many different things, and one of the things I did was I was always trying to push my comfort zone, and I was a shy, introverted kid growing up. So one of the things I was doing was just trying to do something social every opportunity I had, like talk to one new person, give someone a compliment. And I love this one story, which is I went to the gym with that same friend who I used to smoke weed with, and we set an intention that we were gonna give one person a compliment. We hit our workout, the gym session was coming to an end and we were leaving and we both didn't do our compliments. So I was there like, I am a man of my word. I'm not leaving the gym without giving a compliment. So I saw a lady in her 40s wearing some colorful shoes, and I just went up to her real quick and was like, excuse me, I love your shoes. And she was like, thank you, but the delivery was not smooth at all. It came out so awkward. I got red in the face, and then we left. We both laughed about it in the car, and it actually built my confidence because I did what I set out to do. The intention I set for myself to give someone a compliment, I did. You're never going to be great at something the first time you do it. This was, for me, a big feat. I was not very social. I was very awkward, and it took me a long time to get socially comfortable, to be confident, to be charismatic, to know how to deliver a compliment, but I had to get the reps in, just constantly practicing. And throughout that process, I failed so many times. So if you can allow the win to be you practicing doing the empathetic skills described in this video, you are gonna make so much progress. So the challenge I have for you is to just set the intention of doing one empathetic thing on a daily basis. If that means giving someone a compliment, or listening to someone a little bit deeper, or trying to really gauge the feeling and mood of someone based off their nonverbal communication. And you can literally write it out in a journal, like if you do gratitude journaling, I highly recommend it. Or you can also write below, I'm proud of myself for practicing developing empathetic skills through observing nonverbal communication today. And the more you repeat these things, the more it's going to ingrain into your subconscious mind, and you're just going to start acting them out automatically. But it takes a lot of conscious intention to actually do these things and ingrain them into your mind the way that I have and how I'm describing to you. So if you want to actually be highly empathetic and you want to be able to connect with girls insanely quickly, it's going to be a skill that you need to develop and practice. So if you got any value from this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. On this channel, I'll be teaching you how to become attractive to girls. So if that sounds of interest, make sure to hit the subscribe button and check out the links below if you want my help to help you attract girls.